you know, like, if, like, I'm going to point out Jason because he's sweet and he doesn't rhyme. Jason's going to come in one day this week and make up this test. I already anticipate that. I understand that. But if Jason comes in and tries to hand me stuff from chapter 1 or stuff from early chapter 2, like, what is Jason's deal? Why is he doing that to me? Don't do that to me. I have been so nice to you. Don't do that to me. Okay, let's get started. Whew. And I think I've already given away this secret, but let's go ahead and get some points for it anyway. What is happening tomorrow?
The test.
What's math workshop test and what's the other? It's on what? What section? 3.1. Every group can have 1 point, and Ellie's group can have 2. Okay. Let's discuss the tests, both tests, and how I do think it's very feasible that you will finish both during the class period. You should. Okay. There are 10 questions on the math workshop test. There are 10 questions on the 3.1 test. That means there's only 20 total. Heck, the other day you did 18 and they had multiple parts. So you're fine. You will finish. Okay, as for the 3.1 test, if I was making a list of stuff, yes, it's a 3.1 test. I think there are 2 that you have to solve by graphing. And of course those 2 require you to use your vocab. You gotta say, like, if there's a solution, you gotta say consistent, inconsistent, dependent, independent. You gotta throw those words in there. There are 2 that are substitution. There are 2 that are elimination. And I believe there are 2 that are your choice. Like, you get to choose. And you're like you get to choose. Like, I get to choose substitution, or I get to choose elimination. It's up to you. Only you can prevent forest fires. And you're like, Miss Compton, that looks great, but you just said there were 10 questions. And that adds up to 8. So, hint, hint, wink, wink. 2 are straight up vocab. 2 are vocab. So if you have out your giant packet, your chapter 3 packet that we've been working on, the very first page after the learning targets, we put a star next to the vocab. I even wrote the note then on test, and I'm reminding Jax that an important part of the test tomorrow is the vocab. There are 2 questions that are just vocab. And then, of course, the graphing ones require Jack to say consistent, inconsistent, dependent, independent. So, basically, a good third of the test is just Jack's and vocab. So, if he doesn't know consistent, and if he doesn't know those 4 words, he's in trouble. And then the very first thing I need to say, so yes, he needs to know those 4 words. We repeated and repeated and repeated. So, I pray those words come to Jack's mind. But there's one last word on the screen that needs to come to Jax's mind. What is that one last word? Or one last phrase, I should say. I heard it from Paige. Systems of equations. There is a vocab question of that, and one that involves systems of equations. So know the 4 we've been going over and over and over, but also know what a system of equations, 2 or more equations, same variables. You got to know that part. I haven't repeated that because I felt like it was kind of implied, but I get Anne-Marie's got a lot going on in her life, so maybe she needs me to more than imply. She needs me to say it. Systems of equations is one of the ones on the test. Okay, so the 3.1, again, like I said, there are 10 questions. And we made a cute little list. The 2 graphing, 2 substitution, 2 elimination, 2 of your choice. You get to choose how to solve. And 2 that are just vocab, like circle this, fill in this blank. Okay, so it should be a straightforward one, which means Delaney knows what she's doing. She's going to finish it quickly. Delaney doesn't know what she's doing. She's still going to finish it quickly because she doesn't know what she's doing, and then she's done. Okay, so then there's also the math workshop test. So let's look through your math workshops. Your first math workshop that I see in my binder, because I keep mine, is from 811. Can you get out your math workshop from 811? I have mine. Again, back to the beginning of school and how I like my binder organized. I have all my math workshops in one little section so I can study them easily. That would have been wise. Okay, on the 811 math workshops, I would study questions like 1 through 10.
Wait, 1 through 10 or like?
They're not verbatim, so they're not exactly. but they're very similar to 1 through 10. There are 3 similar ones. So, for instance, I can touch number 6. So, like number 6, there is a problem where there's 2 big terms and a minus sign in between. And there is a problem, like maybe I'm just picking at number 6 because it's closest to my hand. It could be like any of the subtraction ones. There is a problem with subtraction, and there is a problem with addition, like number 1. I think there are actually 2 additions and 1 subtraction, or maybe 2 subtractions and 1 addition. I don't recall. There are 3 total. So anyway, so 1 through 10 is the first thing I would look at when I'm studying, especially those of us who have sign issues like Miss Compton. You want to be very careful with those minus ones. You might want to practice those again. Okay, so that's 1. There are 10 questions on the Math Workshop, and that's 3 of them. Done. Okay, number 4 on the Math Workshop test. Let's go to your next Math Workshop from 821. From 821. On the 821 Math Workshop, I would study. Let me see if I can get it on the screen. I would study on the 821 Math Workshop number 9D or number 10D, because what happens is there's a problem where you're given an equation and you have to put it in standard form. So do you know how to write an equation in standard form? That looks like 9D and 10D. Okay, and then the last one, and I would say wink, wink, hint, hint, big one on this, is one that says, there's one similar to this Lauren and Rico scenario, where you're given 2 people's work and you have to evaluate who did it correctly and why, or did no one do it correctly. Okay, are there any questions about that? Well, that's let's see, that's 5 of the Math Workshops right there. 5 questions from the Math Workshop test right there. You're great. English. Okay, let's look at your next Math Workshop. It was from 828. On this one, I would study one of the top 5 because there is a FOIL question. And so in first period looked at me like I was crazy because they had forgotten what FOIL was, so I pray they really study these top 5. But there is a FOIL question where you have to do first, outer, inner, last. And how do you know when it's a FOIL one or when it's an add one? If there's a sign in between, like a plus or minus, you have to obey the sign. But if there's not, it's understood multiplication, and that's when it's FOIL. Okay, and the only other one I would say study on that Math Workshop is kind of, sort of number 18. That's exactly what I wrote to myself. There's a question sort of kind of similar to number 18, but not really. So there's this, I don't make the Math Workshop test. I'm hating on them. I'm not meaning to. There's a question on the Math Workshop test that doesn't match, to me, any of your Math Workshops. But the brain thought process we used is most similar to number 18. So I guess, it's the same similar reasoning skills. So I guess if you understood how we got number 18, then I guess maybe you'd understand that one. Okay, and then your next Math Workshop was 9-4. 9-4. I would say on the 9-4 Math Workshop, I'm actually going to flip over to my key. On the 9-4 Math Workshop, I would study 1 and 2, but I'll go ahead and tell you why it's different. On the Math Workshop test, they give you a graph, and they ask you to identify the parent. So they might give you this parabola, and you have to say quadratic. They might give you this, and you have to say linear. Might give you this, and you have to say absolute value. So it's really like these two combined of can you put these vocab terms with these graphs. You just had a question like that on the 2628 test. You wouldn't believe the amount of people in the room who skipped that constant and that linear function. Don't know why. 10 points lost, but I digress. Okay, and then I would also say on this Math Workshop, the very last question, number 4. There is a problem on the Math Workshop test where you're given a graph and they ask you whether or not it is a function. And you have to explain. What should you use in your explanation? The pencil test, or what was its official name? Vertical line test. So I need Nick to explain yes, blah, 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 by the vertical line test. No, some other words about a vertical line test. Either way, it's a graph and they ask you if it's a function. You better say something about that test. If you call it a pencil test, I won't be mad at that even. Okay, and then let's go to the math workshops from 9/11. 9/11. Okay. Again, I did not make the test. We are departmentally giving this, so everybody's doing the same test. And I guess if I wanted to throw a fit, I should have done it weeks ago when they handed me the test instead of being like you and waiting to the last minute. So we're going to deal. There's a question involving a radical. In fact, it looks like, I'm telling you, it is one of the same numbers as 7 through 12 on the 9/11 math workshop. So it's either square root of 24, square root of 32, square root of 45, square root of 75. It's one of these, verbatim on the test. But there's a little more to it, which we're going to get to in just a minute. Okay, and then there is also, I would say, study. Not only would I say study the radicals 7 through 12, but I'm going to say on this math workshop, I would even study 1 through 6 on how we were factoring by pulling out the GCF. And then after that, I don't really have any other, the way we're pulling out our old ones. I don't have specific problems page to study on 918 or specific problems page to study on 925s, except Paige is smart. We've had about the same format for the past 3 or 4 weeks. Factoring ones, radical ones. If she struggles with the radical ones, she's got like 3 different sets of math workshop radicals to look at. 3 different sets of math workshop factorings to look at. So, okay, that's all I'm going to say without involving the new math workshop. Are there any questions about this? Okay, well then let's go to the new math workshop. And let's talk about life. Okay, so whoever made the math workshop test, I'm guessing they assumed we would be done with this entire math workshop when we took the test. Oh, wow. Because they think we're smarter, or that we practiced this. We are smart. They think we've practiced this more than we have. So there is a question on the math workshop test that involves one of those radicals that we just discussed. And it says, and this was the example I gave first period, square root of 24 x squared y to the third. So not only does it have a number, but it also has variables with exponents. Okay, I'm going to be nice there because it's not fair a day before the test to spring all this new information on Paige. It's not. So if Paige just crosses out those variables and only shows me how to simplify square root of 24, and she says, oh, well, that's 4 times 6, so it's 2 root 6. If she does this and literally just crosses off the variables, I'm going to give her a 7 out of 10. So she's going to make a 93 if she gets everything else perfect.
You know what? That's fine. That's fine.
I mean a 97. My gosh. 7 out of 10. She would only get 3 points called. So a 97 instead of 100. It's 3 points, people. 3 points. I'm only going to take off 3 points for getting these variables correct. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so, but Daniel likes those 3 points. He can handle it. So let's talk about what you're supposed to do with variables and exponents. If it's an even exponent, it's really easy. You just divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. We would have an x come out. Again, 2 divided by 2 is 1. We would have an x come out. 3 divided by 2, because it's an odd exponent, doesn't divide evenly. When you divide 3 by 2, how much do you have left over? How many y's?
Like, nothing.
Well, 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, but how many times does 2 go into 3? It goes in 1 time, and then, so 1 gets to come out, but how many are left over? 1. So it ends up being 2xy, I need to write that again, 2xy square root of 6y. Anytime it's an odd guy, someone has to stay home. A better way, not better, an easier way to explain it is to write it out and do like a Noah's Ark kind of thing. So it used to be x squared y to the third. So you could literally write out 2 x's for x squared, 3 y's for y to the third. And then you do something I like to call circle buddies. So pairs get to come out. I had a pair of x's, so x got to come out. I had a pair of y's, so a y got to come out, but that one y didn't have a date, so he had to stay home. Now you can always do this circle technique. However, I don't really think when Jax gets to like H to the 11, he really wants to write out 11 H's in circle. So what I think of in my head when I see something like 11 is I think, okay, the next closest even number is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So it's going to be H to the 5th and 1 left over under the house. Okay, saying all those words, we're gonna do 11 through 15 now, and we're gonna make it a double point Monday. So if you give me an answer to a math workshop, your group gets 2 points. The first one is m to the 4th. Yes, dear. Yes. You're the only one with a hand up, so yes.
You looked that way.
I did. I know. Sorry, Daniel. It is. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And again, if Ellie really wants to do this circle buddies, she could write out 4 M's. I have a pair. So M the first, M to the second. That's why it's M to the second. You get 2 points for that. Number 12. Daniel.
I got E squared.
Yes, and again, if you want to write out 5 D's, 2 pairs of them came out. That's why it's D squared. That D didn't have a friend, so he had to stay home. Or again, if Jax is good at his multiplication tables, the next even number to 5 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. He would have 1 left over. 4 plus 1 is 5.
So would the next one be like A square root of 3? I'm just asking a question. I'm not like.
A squared root
I'll
3.
write that down.
No.
It wouldn't be.
No. What's 6 divided by 2?
6 divided by 2 squared.
Okay, so we're going to have A to the 3rd.
That's not
9,
You said
A square root 3.
Oh, well, 8.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. Okay, so then, but the B, it's B to the 9th. So I'm going to put B to the 4th, and then what? And then square root of?
B.
Okay, so I'll give 1, 4, and 5 a point.
Thought it was double point.
Well, it was if she had gotten both parts. She only got the A part. Good question. You can have a point for that. That was a good question. Look at that. Okay. And again, back to if Jax wants to write it all out and do circle buddies, he can. But when I think of 9, I just back down to 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. I have 1 left over. Okay, does someone, Nick, please save before he gets all the points.
Is it G to the 4th,
G to the 4th,
H to the 5th,
H to the 5th,
J to the 6th,
J to the 6th.
and then H in the house?
Ah, so close. Only an H, not an H and a J. We're still going to give him the 2. He had all the things. 8 divided by 2 is 4. He backed down to 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. He has 1 left over. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So it is G to the 4th, H to the 5th, J to the 6th, square root of H. Okay, and then you can have 2 for that. And then let's do number 15. Yes, dear.
No. 3W to the 6th. And then 2W.
Okay, so let's talk about how he's doing this. And again, he's trying to go for the 10 out of 10. If Karen just wants the 7 out of 10, all she's got to do is 18 is really 9 times 2. Hey, I know that's really 3 square root of 2. That's how you got the 3 and the square root of 2. As for the 13, he backed down to 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And he had 1 left over. But again, if all Delaney has is 3 square root of 2, and she's just left off those variables, I'm going to give her a 7 out of 10. And as long as she's actually done all the rest of her math workshops correctly, she's going to get a 97. My gosh, how bad is a 97? Okay, are there any questions about this? Then let's look at your packet and let's talk about what I want from you today. Okay, so most people in here are actually ahead of the game. And most people in here showed me their checkpoint from last week. If you did not show me your checkpoint from last week, that would be your first goal. It's a checkpoint. It's going in the 30% category. It's supposed to be a nice, pretty grade for you. That would be your first thing. Have you shown me your checkpoint? Okay, after your checkpoint, I would say, have you showed me the workbook pages? I know, like, Angel and Karen, because I have their names written on a little post-it. Some people showed me, like, 2 out of 3 last week. Just show me again when you got all 3 out of 3 to not confuse me. Just show me all 3 out of 3. So, yes, of the workbooks. That way you can get them all the points at once. I think there are 8 questions, so I'm doing it as 16 points in the homework category. Seth is smart. He understands I'm probably typing in that workbook assignment along with that checkpoint tomorrow while y'all are testing. So if he's not past the checkpoint or shown me his workbook by tomorrow, he's going to get that 0. And let's face it, he's running out of time to fix all the things. Okay, if somehow you're miraculous, most of us are almost done anyway. I think Ellie's done both, so this is what she'll work on. Inside your giant packet, page 11, it says Algebra 2 Classwork Systems of Equations. We're going to call it your study guide. It's 7 questions, and we're going to put it in the 30% category out of 14 of did Delaney do it or not. I'm going to post the key later today. But for now, I thought I would be nice and give a somewhat helpful key if Delaney knows her vocab. I mean, I don't tell her the literal answers, but I do at least tell her words so she knows there's supposed to be an ordered pair on number 1. There's supposed to be an ordered pair on number 5, on number 6. On number 2, when I wrote inconsistent, what does that mean about those 2 lines? What does that mean if they're inconsistent? What does my graph look like? They look parallel. Thank you, Delaney. You can have a point. They look parallel. So she already knows on number 2 I'm supposed to get parallel lines. I told you I would let you know if there were any decimal problems. There aren't any. There aren't any on this, on the page 11, and there aren't any on the test either. We should be getting pretty numbers also on the checkpoint. So if you're not getting pretty numbers, you're making a mistake. You should get like -2, -8. If you're getting something funky, you made a mistake. Okay, I'll put the real key under the screen later on. I need to give you a chance to work. I finally got your tests all graded. We need to look at those too. My goodness, we got all the things to do. Bring me your whatever if I need to see it.